The Rebel Capitalist Show.
You briefly touched on your journey going from where you started, kind of at the last stage of your entrepreneurial journey, and dating that single mom gal, after your divorce, and then
Mhm.
stumbling upon the rational male, and then going down that rabbit hole and where it's taken you today. But that was quite a long and extensive journey, quite a roller coaster ride, I'm
Yeah.
sure. So, but now, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like just watching your content that you're going through a similar type of journey from a standpoint of personal freedom, because of
Yeah.
what you've experienced in Canada in 2020. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but if so, if that's the case, then kind of explain to us the journey that you've been on, maybe more extensively with the red pill, and then what you're doing now with your personal freedom journey.
Yeah, so I've always been pretty much a libertarian most of my life. I like personal freedom and the ability to make more of my own choices without the government interfering and telling me what to do with my money or stealing it from me. So, for those that are watching from places outside of Canada, the top tax rate in my income bracket's 53%. You pay a 50% capital gains tax on any gains you make on investments outside of your retirement portfolio. We have some of the most expensive like housing costs in the Western world. I could go right down the list. And plus, you're living in a place that's cold 7 months of the year, very liberalized and socialized. And the ongoing narrative is, more and more like all you hear being shouted at you all the time is about inclusivity and acceptance and all that sort of stuff. And that's fine. I mean, if that's what people want to vote for here and that's what they want to see more of, then that's going to continue. But I've seen the writing on the wall. And the straw that broke the camel's back for me was basically being here during the lockdowns, because this has been and still is one of the most lockdown places in the world. Like,
Yeah.
so I've basically had enough of that. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, I'm going to die one day. So, how do I want to live out the autumn years of my life? Because I've basically got less life in front of me than what I had behind me at my age right now. So how am I going to plan that out? And really it's do more stuff that I like in places that I like. And one of the things that I've been real fond of lately, I've watched quite a lot of sailing videos on YouTube. I'm just it's like moths to a flame. For me, it's like a new sailing video comes out, let's go check that out. And I'm trying to consume all this information about it, because one of my big plans is, all right, I'll probably get myself a sailboat at some point when my
Yeah.
daughter's grown up and she's on her own, and see what it's like, maybe sailing the Mediterranean or the Caribbean, or maybe even around the world. I've never done it before. There's obviously a lot of things that are involved with trying to hash that out, but I'll be spending less time here in Canada as I get older. So to answer that question, it's really, it really comes back to the whole mental point of origin thing, which is, how does this serve me? Like, is this what I really want to do? Am I really doing what I want to do?
Hmm. Yeah, that's right. I had a discussion with a guy yesterday or the day prior, named Simon Mikhailovich, and he is someone that fled Russia, communist Russia,
Mhm.
in 1978 when he was 19 years old. And so he talks about how it was to live in Russia during that time frame, and comparisons to what he saw then to the United States and what's happening in Canada.
Mhm.
And the similarities are absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, it's funny you
And
say that. I've got a friend from communist Yugoslavia that said the exact same thing to me.
yeah, and I asked him, I said, Simon, why did you guys come to the United States? And it was kind of a setup question,
Mhm.
because I knew he would say, well, it was kind of this area of freedom culturally. It was similar to Russia and whatnot. But I asked him, okay, so it sounds like today in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, we might not be completely at the place communist Russia was in 1978, but we're on that path. So if you were a 19-year-old today in Canada, where's your United States?
Mhm.
And he said, George, he says, that's the problem. He goes, there isn't one. There isn't one, because it's the whole Western world that has gone down this path. So I'm sure that's something that you've discovered in your research, and how to be more free as a sovereign individual.
Yeah.
So how have you put any thought into that? I know you've talked about the Cayman Islands and the sailing plan, but where would you go to have a bit of culture and some of the things that you've enjoyed experiencing in Canada or the Western world?
Yeah, well, I mean, culture is interesting because if you want to immerse yourself in a culture, you can just travel to a country and spend some time there, and boom, you're now in that culture. But yeah, I agree with the observation, because I've had people say to me, well, Rich, rather than becoming a resident of the Cayman Islands or this island in the Caribbean or Portugal or something like this, because there are places in the world that still treat you better. Like in Portugal, there's no taxes on your crypto gains. For example, there's places in the Caribbean where you don't pay any kind of income taxes. You might have to make an investment into real estate or an investment in the country, but there's different ways to deal with that. But there's guys that have said, hey, you should come down to the States, come down to Florida, come down to Texas, sort of thing. And it's like, yeah, I see that they're open, and I see that it's mostly a red state, but I also see there's a lot of people from New York and California that are moving to those states because
Yeah,
they
exactly.
got fed up with their lifestyle that they voted for in that state, and now they're going to this state, but they also start voting for socialist agendas and policies
Yeah.
and less freedoms in that area. So I don't I don't see things improving. Like I don't see things getting better in most Western countries, which is
Mhm.
why I'm more of the thinking of let's have multiple passports, maybe become more sovereign. Maybe your sailboat becomes your principal residence. I don't know. I got to
Mhm.
figure this out still.
Yeah,
I'm kind
right,
of on a
right,
walkabout on it, but
right.
um, I don't see picking up and maybe moving to a place like Florida or Texas as the solution, because like you mentioned, it's spreading, and it's like, okay, maybe Texas is better than California, maybe Florida is better than New York, as far as personal freedoms and taxation and many other boxes that you want to tick off, but it's not getting more free, it's getting less free, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.